The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning, broadcasting simultaneously across every communication channel on Earth. Commander Sarah Chen was reviewing maintenance reports on the bridge of the ESS Defiant when all screens flickered and displayed the same haunting message in sharp, crystalline text. Your species has been evaluated and found wanting. Your resources are required for the greater good of the collective. You have 7 solar cycles to surrender control of your planet. Resistance will result in immediate extinction. Sarah's first thought wasn't of fear, but of irony. The aliens couldn't have picked a worse time to threaten humanity. After decades of scientific breakthroughs and setbacks, Dr. Aisha Rahman had finally cracked the code of quantum wave manipulation just 3 months ago. The Defiant, humanity's first and only vessel equipped with the experimental QWM drive, had been completed barely 2 weeks earlier. Commander, Lieutenant James O'Neill called from his station, his Irish accent thicker with stress. We're picking up massive energy signatures at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Initial readings suggest over 1,000 vessels. Sarah stood from her command chair, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen as it displayed the incoming data. The alien ships were unlike anything humanity had imagined. Crystalline structures that seemed to flow and shift, more like living organisms than manufactured vessels. "Get me a direct line to Fleet Admiral Wong," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. As she waited for the connection, she studied the preliminary scans of the alien armada. Their energy outputs were staggering, suggesting weapons technology far beyond Earth's conventional defenses. The Admiral's weathered face appeared on her screen moments later. "Commander Chen, I assume you've seen both the message and the incoming fleet." "Yes, sir. Request permission to move the Defiant to intercept position." Admiral Wong's expression remained neutral, but Sarah caught the slight tension in his jaw. "That ship is our only prototype, Commander. We don't even fully understand how the QWM drive works yet." "With respect, sir, we don't have time to understand it fully. Dr. Rahman's theories suggest the drive can do more than just propel us through space. If she's right about the quantum manipulation effects, and if she's wrong, we lose our only advanced ship in the opening minutes." The Admiral paused, studying something off-screen. "The Security Council is meeting in emergency session. Every nation with space capability is scrambling their forces, but you know as well as I do that our conventional fleet won't stand a chance against technology like this." Sarah leaned forward, her voice dropping lower. "Sir, the Defiant wasn't built to hide in Earth's orbit while other ships fight our battles. Dr. Rahman's quantum theories might be our only shot at survival." Before the Admiral could respond, Dr. Aisha Rahman herself burst onto the bridge, her usual pristine lab coat wrinkled and her hijab slightly askew. "Commander, Admiral, the quantum readings from those alien ships, they're exactly what we need." Both Sarah and the Admiral turned their attention to the scientist. Aisha's dark eyes were bright with excitement as she quickly pulled up complex equations on a nearby display. Their energy signatures, the way their ships seemed to flow and change shape, they're using quantum-level manipulation technology too, but in a completely different way than our QWM drive. If my calculations are correct, we could use their own quantum fields against them. Admiral Wong's expression hardened. "Doctor, are you absolutely certain about this?" "The math doesn't lie, Admiral. Their ships generate massive quantum fields to power their technology. The QWM drive doesn't just move us through space. It can interact with, and potentially redirect, any quantum fields it encounters. We could literally turn their own energy against them." Sarah watched the Admiral process this information. She knew what he was weighing: humanity's survival against the risk of losing their most advanced ship. Finally, he nodded. "Commander Chen, you have authorization to proceed with an intercept course." But Sarah, his use of her first name emphasized the personal nature of his next words, "don't engage unless absolutely necessary. We need to know more about what we're facing." "Understood, sir." Sarah turned to her bridge crew as the Admiral's image disappeared. Navigation, plot a course to intercept the alien fleet at Saturn's orbit. That should give us enough time to study their approach and run final checks on the HFY drive. As her crew acknowledged their orders, Sarah felt the weight of humanity's future settling onto her shoulders. In the next few days, they would either prove humanity's worth among the stars or witness the end of their species. The aliens had sent 1,000 ships to conquer Earth, but humanity had something they couldn't account for: the human drive to survive against impossible odds. Dr. Roman worked furiously at her station, correlating data from the alien ships with her quantum field theories. "Commander," she called out, "I'll need time to calibrate the HFY drive to properly interact with their quantum fields. We can't rush this." "Understood, Doctor. We'll give you every second we can spare." Sarah watched as the Defiant's engines powered up, the revolutionary drive humming with potential. Lieutenant O'Neill began continuous scans of the alien fleet. "I want to know everything about them before we get close enough to say hello." As the Defiant broke orbit and accelerated toward its rendezvous with destiny, Sarah couldn't help but smile slightly. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive species, one that would either surrender or be easily crushed. They were about to learn a crucial lesson about humanity. Sometimes the most dangerous opponent isn't the one with the most ships, but the one with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The vast rings of Saturn provided a stunning backdrop as the ESS Defiant maintained its position, waiting. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, watching ice particles dance in the dim sunlight. Behind her, Dr. Raman and her team worked tirelessly, their fingers flying over control panels as they fine-tuned the HFY drive's quantum field interactions. "New data packet from Earth Command," Lieutenant O'Neill reported, his voice tight. "The alien fleet has passed Neptune's orbit. They're destroying everything in their path, Commander. Research stations, mining outposts. They're not even trying to capture resources. It's just destruction." Sarah turned from the window, her expression grim. "They're sending a message. Show me." The main view screen lit up with footage from automated cameras near Neptune. The crystalline alien ships moved with terrible grace, their forms shifting and flowing as they fired brilliant beams of energy that didn't just destroy their targets. They seemed to erase them from existence, breaking matter down at the quantum level. "That's it," Dr. Raman suddenly exclaimed, her eyes wide with realization. "Commander, look at their weapon signatures. They're using quantum destabilization to break down matter into its component particles. But that means their weapons operate on the same principles as their ships," Sarah finished, seeing where the scientist was going. "They're all connected through quantum fields." "Exactly. And the HFY drive doesn't just manipulate quantum fields, it can create resonance patterns. If we can match the frequency of their weapon fields." Lieutenant O'Neill interrupted. "Commander, incoming transmission from the alien fleet. They're broadcasting on all frequencies again." Sarah nodded. "Put it through." The view screen shifted to show a being that seemed to be made of living crystal, its form constantly shifting like its ships. When it spoke, its voice resonated through the bridge with harmonic overtones that made the crew's teeth ache. "We are the crystalline Concordat. Your species continues to resist despite our warning. Your primitive vessel's presence here is noted. Remove yourself or be unmade." Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady. "This is Commander Chen of the ESS Defiant. We've seen how you unmake things. We're not impressed. If you continue your advance toward Earth, we will be forced to demonstrate humanity's own capabilities." The crystalline being's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. "Your single vessel threatens our armada. Perhaps we should demonstrate why such hubris is unwarranted." The transmission cut off abruptly. Moments later, 5 alien ships broke formation and accelerated toward the Defiant, their forms elongating like predatory creatures preparing to strike. "Dr. Raman," Sarah called out, "please tell me you're ready for a field test." "Almost there, Commander. The QWM drive is responding to the alien quantum signatures, but we need them closer to establish a proper resonance pattern. Sarah took her command chair, fingers gripping the armrests. Lieutenant O'Neill, evasive pattern delta. Keep us just out of their optimal firing range. Let's make them work for it. The Defiant moved with surprising agility for its size, weaving between the rings of Saturn as the alien vessels pursued. Their weapon fire lit up space around the human ship, each near miss causing the sensors to scream warnings about quantum field disruptions. 30 seconds. Dr. Raman called out, her hands dancing over her controls. The drive is synchronizing with their field patterns. But, Commander, this is going to take every bit of power we have. If I'm wrong about the resonance effects. If you're wrong, Doctor, we won't be alive long enough to regret it. Sarah opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, this is the Commander. Divert all non-essential power to the QWM drive. This is what we came here for. The alien ships had them surrounded now, their crystalline forms glowing with building energy. Sarah could almost feel the hostile intelligence behind their movements, their certainty that this single human vessel would be easily destroyed. They're charging weapons, O'Neill reported. Multiple quantum destabilization fields detecting, targeting our primary systems. Now, Doctor, Sarah ordered. Dr. Raman slammed her hand down on her console. The QWM drive's hum rose to a pitch that made everyone's ears pop. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, as the alien vessels fired, their quantum beams suddenly twisted in space, caught in invisible currents of probability and potential. It's working. Raman shouted over the drive's scream. The QWM field is creating a resonance cascade with their weapon signatures. Their own quantum fields are being redirected and amplified. Sarah watched in amazement as the alien energy beams curved back toward their sources, enhanced by the Defiant's quantum manipulations. When they struck the crystalline ships, the effects were catastrophic. The vessels didn't explode. They shattered into billions of quantum particles, their very existence scattered across probability space. In the silence that followed, Lieutenant O'Neill's whispered "Mother of God" seemed deafening. The remaining alien fleet had stopped advancing. Sarah could imagine their confusion, their impossible calculations trying to understand how a primitive human vessel had just unmade 5 of their ships using their own weapon energy against them. Status report, Sarah ordered, her voice hoarse. QWM drive is stable but depleted, Raman reported. We'll need at least 20 minutes to rebuild sufficient quantum potential for another demonstration. The alien fleet is regrouping, O'Neill added. They're actually backing off, Commander. Maintaining distance. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the QWM drive works exactly as designed. And send one more transmission to our crystalline friends out there. Channel open, O'Neill confirmed. Sarah stood, facing the view screen where the alien fleet hung in space like a cloud of deadly stars. This was a demonstration of human capability. You sent 5 ships. We unmade them all. You have 1,000 more, but ask yourselves this: what else might we be capable of? The choice to retreat is yours. The consequences of continuing this attack are now clear. As the message was transmitted, Sarah turned to Dr. Raman. 20 minutes until we can do that again. The scientist nodded, already working on her calculations. Yes, but Commander, the quantum resonance effects were stronger than I anticipated. Next time, we might be able to take out even more of them at once. Sarah watched the alien fleet, wondering what choices were being made aboard those crystalline ships. They had come expecting an easy conquest, only to find that humanity had teeth, quantum teeth, of its own. The next move would be theirs, but for the first time since the crisis began, Sarah felt real hope. Sometimes, one ship with the right technology and the right crew was all you needed to change the course of history. The quantum resonance display on Dr. Raman's console pulsed with complex patterns as she studied the aftermath of their first engagement. Tiny crystals from the destroyed alien ships drifted past the Defiance viewports, catching Saturn's light like diamond dust. But Commander Sarah Chen knew they couldn't savor this small victory for long. Multiple signatures detected. Lieutenant O'Neill called out, "They're moving in a new formation. Looks like they're trying to surround us in three-dimensional space." Sarah studied the tactical display. The alien fleet had split into layers, creating a sphere of crystalline ships around the Defiance position. It was an impressive demonstration of coordination, but it also told her something crucial about their adversaries. They still think in terms of conventional warfare, she mused. "Dr. Raman, what's our status?" QWM drive is at 60% capacity and climbing, Aisha reported without looking up from her calculations. "But Commander, I'm seeing something fascinating in these readings. The quantum field residue from their destroyed ships. It's still active, still maintaining coherent patterns." Sarah moved to the scientist's station. "What does that mean for us?" "It means their quantum technology is even more sophisticated than we thought. Their ships don't just use quantum fields. They're quantum constructs themselves, built from probability and potential." And her eyes widened as new data scrolled across her screen. "They're all connected. The entire fleet shares a quantum substrate." "Like a hive mind?" O'Neill asked, his fingers hovering over the tactical controls. "More like quantum entanglement on a massive scale. Each ship is an individual node in a vast quantum network. That's how they coordinate so perfectly." Aisha's voice took on an excited edge. "Commander, we can use this. If we can tap into their quantum network." The ship shuddered as the first volley from the alien fleet struck the space around them. The Defiance conventional shields flared under the assault, but held. "They're testing our defenses," Sarah observed. "Lieutenant, evasive pattern echo. Keep us moving but don't break their encirclement yet." "Doctor, what exactly can we do with their network?" Aisha's fingers flew over her console. "The QWM drive doesn't just manipulate quantum fields, it can inject new information into them. If I can match the frequency of their network." She paused, biting her lip. "We could introduce a cascading uncertainty principle into their entire command structure." "In English, Doctor." "We could make their ships start questioning their own existence. At the quantum level, observation affects reality. If we can make their network observe itself in a state of uncertainty." Another barrage rocked the ship. "Shields at 60%. O'Neill reported. "They're increasing power with each volley." Sarah made her decision. "Do it, Doctor." "Lieutenant, on my mark. Take us straight up, relative to the system plane. I want to give them a clear target." "Commander." O'Neill's voice carried clear concern. "That'll expose our ventral systems." "Exactly. Sometimes the best defense is to look vulnerable." She opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, brace for extreme maneuvers. Engineering, route everything you can spare to the QWM drive." The alien fleet tightened their formation as the Defiant began to move. Their crystalline ships sparkled with building energy, each vessel adding its power to a combined attack that would surely overwhelm any conventional defenses. "QWM drive at full power," Aisha announced. "Quantum network frequency locked." "Commander, this is going to get strange." Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. "Strange is what we do best, Doctor. Execute." The drive's familiar hum changed, becoming a complex chord that seemed to resonate with reality itself. On the tactical display, the alien fleet's perfect formation began to waver as the Defiant's quantum manipulations infiltrated their shared network. "It's working," Aisha exclaimed. "The uncertainty cascade is propagating through their quantum substrate. Each ship is beginning to affect the probability states of the others." The effect was visible now. The crystalline ships began to shift and flow more rapidly, their forms becoming less distinct as quantum uncertainty rippled through their fleet. Some vessels seemed to exist in multiple positions simultaneously, their weapon fire dispersing harmlessly into probability space. "By all that's holy," O'Neill whispered, watching his tactical display. "They're ships. They're trying to maintain coherence, but they're experiencing quantum superposition on a macro scale," Aisha explained, her voice filled with academic excitement despite the situation. "Their ships exist in multiple states simultaneously, and observation of one affects all the others. Their network is working against them." Sarah watched as chaos spread through the alien fleet. Ships that had moved with perfect coordination now struggled to maintain basic formation. Some vessels passed partially through others, their quantum structures temporarily overlapping in ways that shouldn't have been possible in normal space. "Incoming transmission," O'Neill reported. "Multiple sources. I think their command structure is fragmenting." The bridge speakers came alive with a cacophony of crystalline voices, each one slightly out of phase with the others. "What is happening? We are not might be under attack. The probability matrix is compromised. Unity is failing. We cannot can might maintain coherence. They're experiencing a quantum identity crisis," Aisha said, still monitoring her readings. "Their entire fleet operates on shared quantum certainty. We've introduced fundamental uncertainty into their network. Each ship is now forced to question not just its position and state, but its very existence." Sarah watched as more of the alien vessels began to withdraw, their formations dissolving into chaos. Some ships simply winked out of existence, their quantum structures collapsing under the weight of too many contradictory probability states. "Doctor," she called out, "can you isolate their command ships? Give them enough quantum coherence to have a rational conversation." Aisha nodded, making adjustments to the QWM field. "Isolating primary nodes. Now." The tactical display cleared slightly, showing 3 larger crystalline vessels that had maintained more stability than the others. Sarah opened a channel to them. "This is Commander Chen. As you can see, we understand quantum mechanics quite well. Your fleet is experiencing unified quantum uncertainty. We can maintain this effect indefinitely, or we can help you restore coherence. The choice is yours." There was a long pause before a response came. When it did, the crystalline voice sounded different, humbled, perhaps, or simply more aware of its own limitations. "You have created impossible possibilities. Our certainty was our strength. How have you done this with one ship?" Sarah smiled. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to think beyond what seems possible. You came here expecting primitives. Instead, you found equals who simply think differently than you do." "Has the alien command ships considered this?" Sarah turned to her crew. "Stand by for either combat or conversation. Something tells me our crystalline friends are about to make a very important decision about humanity's place in the galaxy." The crystalline command ships hung in space before the Defiant, their forms now stable but noticeably different from before. Where they had once been perfect, geometric shapes, they now displayed subtle imperfections, evidence of their brush with quantum uncertainty. "New transmission coming in," Lieutenant O'Neill reported. "Single source, much clearer than before." The voice that filled the bridge was no longer the harmonic chorus they had heard earlier, but a single, thoughtful tone. "We are unity of purpose, primary consensus node of the crystalline concordat. Your demonstration has altered our understanding. Altered it enough to reconsider your attack on Earth?" Commander Chen asked, keeping her voice neutral despite the hope rising in her chest. "The consensus is fragmented. Some nodes demand retreat. Others insist we cannot allow such power to exist beyond our control. The transmission cut off abruptly as new energy signatures flared across the tactical display. Multiple ships breaking formation. O'Neill called out. They're firing on each other." Sarah watched in astonishment as the alien fleet erupted into civil war. Hundreds of crystalline ships turned their weapons on their own kind, quantum beams lancing through space in a deadly light show. The uncertainty cascade, Dr. Raman explained, her fingers flying over her console. It didn't just affect their positions. It fragmented their shared consciousness. They're no longer a unified entity. Commander, O'Neill interrupted, 3 separate fleets are forming. The largest group is maintaining position, but one section is retreating toward the Kuiper Belt. And another. He paused. Checking his readings, another is accelerating toward Earth. Sarah's decision was immediate. Doctor, can you maintain the uncertainty effect on the main fleet? Yes, but if we move too far away. Understanding noted. Lieutenant, set intercept course for the Earthbound group. Maximum speed. Sarah opened a channel to engineering. Engineering, I need everything you can give the QWM drive. We're about to attempt something unprecedented. The Defiant surged forward, its revolutionary drive humming with power as they raced to catch the breakaway fleet. Behind them, the main body of the crystalline Concordat continued their internal battle, their quantum network fracturing further with each passing moment. Enemy fleet is accelerating, O'Neill reported. They'll reach Earth orbit in 17 minutes at current speed. Doctor, Sarah called out, you said their ships are quantum constructs. Could we use that? Create some kind of quantum anchor? Aisha's eyes widened. Yes, yes. If we can match their quantum frequency exactly, we could establish a probabilistic link. Their ships would become quantumly entangled with the Defiant. And then physics gets interesting. At quantum scales, distance becomes negotiable. Sarah nodded grimly. Do it. Lieutenant, push us to maximum sustainable speed. We need to get just close enough. The next 15 minutes were a race through the solar system, the Defiant straining to catch up with the rogue alien fleet. Earth grew larger on their screens as both groups of ships approached the planet. They're preparing to fire, O'Neill warned. Energy buildup detected in all ships. Now, Doctor. Dr. Raman activated her modified quantum protocols. The QWM drive's hum changed pitch, becoming a deep resonance that seemed to vibrate through reality itself. On the tactical display, probability curves began to twist and interconnect. Quantum entanglement established. Aisha announced. Their ships are linked to ours at the quantum level. Commander, we can only maintain this for a few minutes before the uncertainty becomes too great. Sarah stood from her command chair, her voice carrying the weight of Earth's future. Let's show them what humanity's quantum mechanics can really do. Execute protocol override. The QWM drive pulsed, and suddenly space itself seemed to hiccup. The rogue alien fleet, moments away from firing on Earth, found themselves impossibly relocated. Where they had been approaching Earth, they were now facing the Sun, their quantum-based systems struggling to cope with the sudden probability shift. How? O'Neill breathed. Quantum teleportation, Aisha explained. Her voice strained as she worked to maintain the effect. We forced a probability collapse that relocated their quantum structures. But, Commander, the energy requirements. Lieutenant, broadcast on all frequencies, Sarah ordered. This is Commander Chen to the breakaway fleet. Your quantum structures are now entangled with ours. We can maintain this state indefinitely, repeatedly relocating you whenever you threaten Earth. Your choice is simple: stand down or experience eternal quantum uncertainty. The rogue ships hung in space, their crystalline forms flickering as they processed this new reality. Slowly, one by one, their weapons powered down. Main Concordat fleet is hailing us, O'Neill reported. Unity of purpose wishes to speak. The crystalline leader's voice held a new tone, something approaching respect. The consensus has shifted, Commander. Your species has demonstrated not just technological prowess, but something we had not anticipated, the ability to change the very rules of engagement. We request dialogue. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Dialogue is always preferable to combat. Unity of purpose. Though I suggest we have this conversation with all ships maintaining a safe distance from Earth. Agreed. Perhaps we have much to learn from each other. As the crisis began to de-escalate, Sarah turned to her crew. Dr. Raman, begin power-down procedures for the quantum effects. Lieutenant O'Neill, maintain battle readiness, but stand down from red alert. She paused, looking at the various crystalline ships now scattered across the solar system. Something tells me the galaxy just became a much more interesting place. 3 days after the quantum standoff, the ESS Defiant hosted an unprecedented meeting in its newly configured conference room. Commander Sarah Chen sat across from Unity of Purpose, whose crystalline form now displayed an almost artistic asymmetry, a deliberate reminder of how humanity had changed their perspective. Your quantum wave manipulation technology, Unity of Purpose, resonated softly. It approaches probability in ways we never considered. We built our civilization on quantum certainty, on the perfect synchronization of thought and form. You showed us the power of uncertainty. Dr. Raman, seated beside Sarah, nodded. Sometimes the most profound discoveries come from embracing what we don't know rather than clinging to what we think we understand. The meeting was being broadcast to Earth and to the remaining crystalline Concordat fleet, which had maintained a respectful distance in the outer solar system. The rogue elements had been contained, their ships now under the supervision of both human and loyal Concordat forces. We came here seeking resources, Unity of Purpose acknowledged, believing we would find primitives barely worthy of notice. Instead, we found. The crystalline being's form shifted, creating patterns that somehow conveyed admiration. We found equals who made us question our own evolution. Sarah leaned forward. The question now is where we go from here. Your civilization has technology and knowledge that could benefit humanity. We have perspectives and innovations that could enhance your understanding of quantum mechanics. There's an opportunity here. Yes, Unity of Purpose agreed, but there are concerns among my people. The faction that turned against us, that sought to destroy Earth despite our negotiations, they represented a fear that runs deep in our collective consciousness. The fear of change, Sarah suggested, of having to rethink everything you believed about yourselves and your place in the universe. Precisely. For millennia, we were the undisputed masters of quantum manipulation. Our certainty was absolute. Now, the crystalline being's form rippled with something like amusement. Now we must deal with the uncertainty principle in more ways than one. Lieutenant O'Neill, monitoring the meeting from his tactical station, reported quietly, "Commander, the Concordat fleet is transmitting new data. They're sharing their quantum field technologies with us." A gesture of trust, Unity of Purpose explained. "The first of many, we hope. Your Dr. Raman's theories about quantum manipulation have already inspired our scientists to explore new possibilities. Perhaps together, we can discover aspects of reality neither of us could perceive alone." Dr. Raman's eyes lit up at the streams of data flowing across her tablet. "This is extraordinary. Their basic quantum principles are similar to ours, but their applications. Commander, with this knowledge, we could advance our understanding of the QWM drive by decades." Sarah smiled, but kept her focus on the larger picture. "Knowledge sharing is an excellent start, but we need to discuss the broader implications. Earth is now aware of your civilization, and of others that might exist among the stars. We won't be content to stay in our solar system forever." "No," Unity of Purpose agreed. "We would not expect you to. Your species has demonstrated not just technological capability, but wisdom in its application. You could have used our quantum connection to destroy our ships. Instead, you chose to show us a new way of thinking." "Violence is easy," Sarah responded. "Understanding is harder, but ultimately more rewarding." The crystalline being's form shifted into a new configuration, one that somehow conveyed formal authority. "The Concordat proposes an alliance. We will share our knowledge of the galaxy, our quantum technologies, and our understanding of spacefaring civilization. In return, we ask for your perspective, your innovative thinking, and your commitment to exploring the unknown together." Sarah glanced at Dr. Raman, who nodded enthusiastically, then at her bridge crew, who all showed varying degrees of excitement and approval. I'll need to consult with Earth's governments, but speaking personally, I believe this could be the beginning of something extraordinary. Indeed, and perhaps unity of purposes form sparkled with what might have been humor. We should begin by improving your ship's quantum drives. One vessel of such capability is impressive, but imagine what humanity could achieve with an entire fleet. As the meeting continued, Sarah reflected on how much had changed in just a few days. They had faced extinction and emerged not just victorious, but with the possibility of a future brighter than anyone could have imagined. The aliens had come with 1,000 ships, thinking quantity would guarantee victory. Instead, they had learned that quality, of thought, of innovation, of character, could change the very nature of the game. Hours later, as she stood at her familiar spot by the bridge window, Sarah watched Earth rotate slowly below them. Dr. Raman approached, still excitedly reviewing the Concordat's quantum data. "You know what amazes me most, Commander?" the scientist asked. "They're just as fascinated by our approach to quantum mechanics as we are by theirs. Our primitive understanding led us to innovations they never considered. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to not know it's supposed to be impossible," Sarah replied. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to imagine new possibilities." The Defiant continued its orbit, a symbol of humanity's ingenuity and determination. In the distance, the crystalline ships of their new allies sparkled like stars, their perfect symmetry now voluntarily broken, a constant reminder that sometimes the most profound victories come not from destroying an enemy, but from transforming them into friends. The message to the galaxy was clear. Humanity had arrived on the cosmic stage, not as conquerors or victims, but as innovators and pioneers. They had faced their first major extraterrestrial challenge and emerged stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever the universe might bring next. After all, they had proven that sometimes one ship, with the right crew, the right technology, and the right ideas, was all you needed to change the course of history.